French battleships were known for their all-forward gun design towards the end of the era of the French battleships being built, prior to World War II, for example, the Jean Bart or the Dunkirk. However, the British favored more traditional gun arrangements, but for two ships, they went all in, with 3 triple turrets all in front. The Nelson-class battleships of the Royal Navy, Nelson and her sister, the Rodney. So, in today's Fate of, which, as usual, is not a history video, we'll go over the fates of the 2 Nelson-class battleships. HMS Nelson was the lead ship of the class. She was laid down on December 28, 1922, launched on September 3, 1925, formally commissioned on August 15, 1927, but only entered service after additional trials on October 27th of 1927. She would go on to serve in World War II and earn the following honors: Malta convoys 1941-42, North Africa 1942-43, Sicily 1943, Salerno 1943, Mediterranean 1943, and Normandy 1944. Many times she would be damaged by various mines and torpedoes, but none ever did enough to actually sink her. So she would go on to survive the war, and it's far too many to mention here. Early in 1946, HMS Nelson was converted to a training ship, as she was starting to get worn out after not receiving the best maintenance during the war, and most ships during the war didn't get the best maintenance because that was not a priority, for obvious reasons. So she was converted to a training ship, and then later, on October 20th, 1947, sent to the reserve fleets. She was formally decommissioned in February of 1948 and stricken on May 19th, 1948. From June 4th to September 23rd, 1948, she was used as a target ship for armor-piercing aerial bombs to test their ability to puncture her decks. Obviously, she survived. She was turned over on January 5th, 1949 to the British Iron and Steel Corporation, and then allocated to the Thos W. Ward for scrap. The BISC basically handled all the Royal Navy ships that were being decommissioned, and then they would allocate them to various scrapyards across the country. She arrived at Inverkeithing, Scotland on May 15, 1949, where she would be scrapped. Her bell was returned to Newcastle in 1949 and put on display at the Leaning Art Gallery. So, what happened to her younger sister? Rodney was the second and final member of the class. She was built by the Camel Laird in Birkenhead. She was laid down on December 28, 1922, the same day as Nelson. She would be launched on December 17, 1925, completed in August 1927, but commissioned on December 7, 1927, for the same reasons as the Nelson. She would also go on to serve in World War II, and was one of several British ships that took down the Bismarck in 1941. During World War II, she would gather the following honors: Norway, 1940, Atlantic, 1940-41, Bismarck, 1941, Malta convoys, 41-42, North Africa, 42-43, Sicily, 43, Salerno, 43, Mediterranean, 43, English Channel, 1944, Normandy, 44, and Arctic, 44. She was taken out of service in August of 1946, as she was in very poor condition, as she had almost no work done to her during the war, let alone any refits. Like Nelson in 1949, in 1948, she was transferred to the British Iron and Steel Corporation and also allocated to the Thos W. Ward on March 26, 1948, and taken to Scotland to be scrapped. She was scrapped alongside those who would later join her: HMS Revenge, another battleship, and her own older sister, HMS Nelson. Those two were sold for scrap in 48 and 49 respectively. HMS Rodney's bell is currently on display at the Royal Navy Portsmouth Museum. I'm going to leave that in there because sometimes I just need to leave a bit of a lesson in a video for myself. So, in a recap, both the Nelson and the Rodney were scrapped together, for the most part. Rodney was fully scrapped before Nelson was completely scrapped, but it's close enough. And now, each of their bells is also preserved, but nothing else as far as I could find. They were unique for the Royal Navy in design, but they did do their jobs fairly well considering everything and being a full forward design. They may have been the oddballs of the Royal Navy's battleship fleet, but both HMS Nelson and her sister, HMS Rodney, deserve to be remembered.